So what you have is 7 books and 2 magazines cost €82. Then what we also have is two books and 1 magazine cost €24. So we're going to have to set up 2 simultaneous equations to figure out what is the cost of 1 book. Okay, so that's our job. Now, first thing it says is write down an equation in X and Y to show the price of 7 books and 3 magazines. So, 7 books and 3 magazines, okay? So it's going to be 7 multiplied by the price of 1 magazine. Oh, sorry, 7 multiplied by the price of 1 book, which is 7x. Okay, next one. 3 magazines plus 3y. And that equals 82. Now, there's a question nearly exactly like this coming up in your tests, right? Very similar. Next one. 2 books and 1 magazine costs 24. So that's 2x plus 1y equals 24. All you have to do now is solve the simultaneous equation. Yes?
On the picture, they'll give us the timetable and what the rooms were in.
Yeah.
Is that our times 2 hours long?
Now, lads, get rid of the y's. So I'm going to try and multiply the bottom one by -3. And that will hopefully help me get rid of the bottom half. So equals 82. Multiply the bottom one by -3. So we get -6x minus 3y. Now equals -72. Now I'm going to figure out that x equals 10. I also need to figure out what y is. So if two books and 1 magazine cost €24, 2 books will cost 20 quid because it's 2 times 10 plus y equals 24. This implies that y equals 4. So the cost of a book is €10. The cost of the magazine is €4. Underneath it says calculate the price of 10 books and 6 magazines. How much would 10 books be worth? 10 by 10, which is 100. 6 magazines? 6 by 4. So add them together, you get €124. Okay. So another thing I ask is I ask a bit about this. I ask you to solve equations. It'll either be factorize or solve. We'll do the factorize first, right? So I could also ask you factorize x squared plus 5x. Okay, so let's do the factorize question first. How do you do the factorize question? What do they have in common? What goes into the bracket? X plus 5. Okay, that's the factorize question done. However, we're not doing a factorize question, we're doing a solve question. So it's this part equals 0. Now what's the next part then if it's a solve question? If you multiply it back out, you go back where you came from. So you don't want to do that. Put x equal to 0 or x plus 5 equals 0. Bring over the 5 to the other side. -5. And x equals 0. Everybody alright with that? Okay. Next thing we're going to ask you is we're going to be giving you a similar question, except what's the problem with this one? It's the difference of 2 squares because they have nothing in common. There's a minus sign, so what do we do there? X plus 2, x minus 2. What's a quick check to see if you have the right answer? Multiply 2 by 2 or multiply the whole thing back out and it should work. So what's our 2 answers then? X plus 2 equals 0. X equals minus 2. And then the other one? X minus 2 equals 0. Bring it over. X equals plus 2. Okay? So a lot of junior cert stuff going on here so far. Now it's going to get a bit harder. Ready? Okay, right. Solve the following equation. Now this is what I'd consider probably the toughest question on your exam. Something like this. Anybody remember how to do these ones? Common denominator, right? Yeah, right, but getting the common denominator is actually quite difficult. So, what do you reckon? What's the technique we use? Step 1, wrap everything in brackets. Like everything. Okay, just stop us making mistakes. Step 2, look at the three denominators. What three denominators do you see? 2x and x minus 1. Imagine you're a denominator and you're only looking at other denominators. What does the 2 see? It sees the x and the x minus 1. So you put the x and the x minus 1 beside it. But because you put it on the bottom, what you have to do then? Have to put it on the top as well. Okay. What does the x see? The middle x. It sees the 2 and the x minus 1. So it's put the 2 there, the x minus 1 here, put the 2 here, and the x minus 1 there. Finally, what does the x minus 1 see? Now, believe it or not, you've already passed this question. If you just do this, you've got 8 out of 15 marks, and you've passed the question already. Now, can anybody tell me what can I do next? What's going to happen? I will multiply it out, but there's something really easy about this that's going to happen. I'm allowed to cross out the denominators. Why am I allowed to cross out the denominators in this question? Basically, if I said x over 7 equals 15 over 7, am I allowed to cross out the 2 sevens? Okay. If I have x over 7 equals 15 over 3, am I allowed to cross out the 3 and the 7? Exactly. Are the denominators on both sides of the equals the same? They are. So because they are, you can cross them out. And they're gone. Now what's next? Take 2 at a time. 3 times x. 3x times x. 3x times minus 1. Minus 3x. The 3x gets multiplied by both of them. Now see the minus belongs to the 2. What's minus 2 times 1? Minus 2 multiplied by 1? Minus 2. What's minus 2 multiplied by x minus 1? Minus 2 times x? Minus 2 multiplied by minus 1? Plus 2. That's plus 2. Alright, 2 times x times 1? 2x. Okay, nearly there. Okay. Move everything onto one side. We're going to get 3x squared minus 5x plus 2. Bring over the other 2x and it's minus 2x. We almost have a quadratic equation. 3x squared minus 5x minus 2x. You owe somebody a fiver, you owe somebody €2. If you aren't sure, you could try minus 5 minus 2 on the calculator, and you'll get minus 7. Okay. Now, what are your 2 methods for doing this type of question? Minus b formula or the reference number. How many people would use the minus b formula? Fair enough. Everybody's gone for the reference number this time around? Fair enough. Let's try it out. What is the reference number? Does anybody remember? First by last, which is 2 numbers that multiply to give you 6, but will add to give you minus 7. Yes. What do you do next? Yeah. Yeah. Next. What can you factorize? And the x's. And what's left over? 3x squared times x is 3x squared. 3x times minus 2 to get to 6x, yeah. What do we know about the second bracket? Has to be the same. What number should go in here? 1 times x is plus 1x. Minus 1. Minus 1 by x, minus 1x, minus 1 by minus 2, plus 2. This is, once again, a pretty hard question, right? What's next? 3x. Yeah. Good job. After that, x minus 2 equals 0. X equals 2. Yeah. 3x equals 1. Multiplication on the left is division on the right. So x 1 over 3. Everybody cool with that? Alright. That is a pretty tough question. You'll need to go over that again. Yes, Sam? Now, basically when you see the word roots, or you see a question like this, basically what I'm saying is that you're given the answer. So you could have done a minus b formula, right? Everybody remember doing the minus b formula? You could have done a minus b formula, and instead of factorizing, you end up with your two answers. So what we're trying to teach you now is how to go backwards and form the original quadratic equation. Anybody remember step 1? Division on 2 on the right is what on the left? Multiplication of 2. Anybody remember the step after this? What happens to the minus 1? 2x plus 1 equals 0. Because it transitioned across the equal sign, it moved across the equal sign, it changed. Okay, what do you reckon about the one on the right? 5x equals 2. After that? Okay. Next part. Bring them together, put inside brackets. And now you're very close to getting the original equation. So what's next? 10x what? Squared, yeah. Minus. Yeah, plus. And then minus 2. Now what's next? 10x squared. Now what's minus 4 plus 5? Now I'd advise you to put that into your calculator because a lot of people end up saying minus 9. Just 1. Yeah, so just 1x or x, yeah. Then after that, and you're done. If it was a factorized question, that's your answer. If it's form a solved question, that's your answer. Okay, so there's 2 of them. What we have next, guys, is we did that question there. Now inequality really quickly, okay? So guys, with an inequality, you move all the x's to one side. So we get 3x take away. What other one has to move over to the left? Just 4 parts. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one goes over to it? The 7x, okay? Turns to a minus 7x. And then the 2 goes over to the 6, and what happens? It turns to a plus 2, which in turn will turn to an 8. Okay, next question. What's 3x take away 7x? Now, we said earlier I don't like minuses in front of the x, okay? So what happens when I multiply both sides by minus? Okay, it does. Now, because it's an inequality, one other thing happens. The sign turns around, and I'll explain why. If I have 6 is bigger than 5, if I multiply both sides by minus, what happens? Is minus 6 bigger than minus 5? No, so essentially by multiplying both sides by minus, you have to reverse around the sides. It's like the mouth always faces the bigger object. It wants to eat the minus 5 because minus 5 is bigger than minus 6. In this one, it wants to eat the 6 because 6 is bigger than 5. It always goes for the bigger meal. Does that make sense? Now, we're going to turn this around. Okay? Now, what happens next, guys? Divide by 4. X is greater than minus 2. Now, I haven't got full marks for this because it's a number line. Now, what we would have done here the other week was we would have said, is it included or not included? So, first thing I got to ask you is, are we using dots or a straight line? How do you know you're using a straight line? Or means decimals and fractions included. Are you including the minus 2? No. Why are you not including the minus 2? There's no equal underneath. So is it a hollow dot or a filled in dot? It's a hollow dot. And then you're going to draw in your shaded line all the way up. Okay? Alright, I have a formula. You'll see a question with a lot of random letters, and then it will say express x in terms of p, q, and r. What this essentially means is that I want the x to be on its own. See the x? I want it on its own. What's stopping it being on its own? The p and the q. Who's closer to the x, the p or the q? The p. The p is directly attached. That means the p is the last thing that will move. So what's the first thing that will move away from the x? The q. So what happens to the q? So it's r plus q. The p is multiply. What does that mean when we move the p? Turns into divide. And there you go. Okay? Turns into divide. And that's question 1 done. Okay? So question 1 is very much done. Now we'll have a quick look at question 2. Just take your seat. It's grand. Next one. U squared plus 2as equals phi squared. What one are we looking to get on its own? Read the question. Which one do we want on its own? S. We want S on its own. So what we're going to do here, guys. What's stopping the S from being on its own? And what else? The u squared. So which one leaves first? Why does the u squared leave first? It's not attached by multiplication. Okay, so that's meant to be a phi squared. Okay, so phi squared, take away u squared. Good job. What do we have to get rid of next? The 2a is what on the left? It's multiplication on the left, which means what on the right? Division. So, phi squared minus u squared all over 2a. No. Multiplication turns into division. It's not addition into subtraction, so it doesn't change like that. Is that okay? Now, next one. Or get x on its own. So it's r minus x over s equals 1. Alright guys, what makes this one the most difficult? What makes part 3 the most difficult? The fact it's a fraction. But we all know how to get rid of fractions. It's an s, but common denominators, yeah? So what can I put underneath the r? An s, yeah. And if I put an s on the bottom, there's an s on the top. This one already has an s. Leave it alone. This one? S on the bottom, S on top.
Why do you put it in behind?
It can be 1s as opposed to S1.
Does it matter?
Does it matter? No. Numbers in front of letters, please. Yeah. Okay. Shh. Now lads, look at this. Because we have the same denominator on both sides, what does that mean from earlier? They're gone. No time for them anymore. Now, lads, we still want to get that x on its own. So it's minus x. What happens on the other side? 1s. And then what can I do with the rs? Minus sr. I don't want a minus x, I want a plus x. Minus 1 on both sides, or swap will do as well, but multiply both sides by minus 1. Minus 1s plus rf, and you're done. Yeah.